and we came together out of a mutual love for Carlton Football Club. All we ever do is talk, sleep, and think football. And, well, what better way to that we get in late November when there is no footy to talk about? We still find things to talk about. So welcome, Shannon. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Going good. How are you?
Mate, I'm really well. I'm so excited to have a show. So first of all, thanks to Carlton Live, so to Trev and to John for giving us this platform.
Thank you.
I'm really excited. I've been on Carlton Live a handful of times now as a guest, but now to come and kind of have our own forum and to have our own platform is an awesome opportunity. But I also want to start off by saying how awesome and how happy I am that I've got you here, Shannon, as well.
Thank you.
I think it's a big deal. I really do think it's a big deal because the last probably 2 or so years has seen Carlton, more than any other club, I will say, start embracing fan content, and in a time and a period where all of us are starting to have less trust and less faith in the football media as a general whole. We're kind of looking to ourselves to source our own media. So Carlton who knows what Carlton fans want to read and listen to better than Carlton fans?
That's exactly right.
And now we're in a spot where, I don't know whether you know this, as a host of this show, as a host of the Heatley End, you are Carlton's first female fan TV presenter. So welcome.
Wow. Well, that's an honour. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Like, I've been doing this for
Look
a
at
while.
you are a game changer.
Thank you. I'm a game changer. No, I was saying not long ago to Michelle that I was like interested in doing something like this, and lo and behold, here we are. A couple of weeks later, throw it into the deep end. Why not? And hi everyone watching.
It really is fate. You say you were mentioning it to Michelle. So for those who don't know, Michelle is my darling fiance. So you mentioning it to Michelle, literally as you mentioned it to Michelle, what was her response to you when you said, hey, what do we think we should get done?
Nick will be in touch. Literally.
Honestly, God, for those who are listening, half an hour before you messaged my fiance talking about, hey, we really should try and get something going to see more females represented on shows like this. About half an hour before, I got asked by Trevor and John, would I want to start my own show? And if I do, who do I have in mind and who do I want to do it with? And I was pretty steadfast. I said, well, I don't want to do any show if I don't have at least some female representation involved. And honestly, you're the first person that came to mind. If I'm going to do so.
Here I am. Trevor's watching. Hello, Trevor. Welcome.
Hello, Trev. Let's get some of these comments up. So for those of us who, there we go. I got one up. I know what I'm doing.
Yay!
Trevor, so the King Poobah, the El Capitan, is welcoming us. So thanks, Trev, for having us. Thank you, everybody who is so far watching. Shannon, let's start things off. Let's get more rolling. Tell us a bit about yourself, your footy journey. So your footy journey in terms of a fan and also as a player.
Awesome. So I moved to Australia in 1996 with my dad, who's a 60-plus year member of the Carlton Football Club, so it's in my blood. There is no changing that. But I started going to the footy in late 90s. My very first memory that I can remember is the 99 prelim final. What a memory. What a memory to have.
It's a very good first memory, I got to say.
Great first memory. And then slowly started going to the footy more, became a member in 2000, I think it was. Joined the cheer squad in 2013, as you know, and the rest is history. I've been an absolute mad nut since then. Also started playing footy for the Pascoe Vale Football Club in 2013, so they kind of coincided with each other. And I am now currently still standing as the captain, so that's always fun. But yeah, no, it's been a different journey.
So does that mean, I'm sorry to interrupt you, does that mean you've come out of retirement?
Yes.
Are we breaking news on this show already? What's the go? Is that actually a new? Oh, I didn't know this.
Yes. No, I started back training after giving birth to my daughter 5 months ago. I went for my first run 2 weeks ago and I nearly spewed. So, Yeah, pre-season has started.
That's amazing. So 5 months after having a baby, you are back at football training.
Yes.
Daisy Pearce, eat your heart out. That's amazing. I knew that you were. I'll put my hand up. I knew that you were back training, but I thought that meant, I'm going for a run. I've gone to the gym. I've got on the treadmill, sort of thing. But you are at footy training. That's amazing.
Yeah, I can still have a good kick of the footy as well. And I know you're my number one fan, so
I am. I can put my hand up and saying I've seen Shannon play. The cheer squad made a banner and everything.
Yeah, for my 100th game last June.
The only thing I've got to say is I'm a bit scared about the colours that you wear when you play footy, but other than that, we're totally supportive of it all.
Yeah, I know. I do apologise for the sash, but I can't. That cannot be helped.
Shannon's local club wears Essendon colours, for those who don't know, and we support Shannon in all her endeavours. But if as the captain, you've got any pull, and you've got any sway down at Pascoe Vale, we just want to just see a bit of navy. You just turn up on that jumper; it'll be all better. So you've been part of the cheer squad since 2013. What are your memories? You said your earliest memory is 99 prelim, but give us the highlights. Since in your time as a cheer squad member, is it just certain interstate trips? Is it certain games? Is it friendships? Is it all the above?
Well, my favourite memory is probably my first year there when we went to Adelaide and beat Port by that magnificent point.
Round 22 and 23, whatever it was, the last round.
Yeah. So I was in Adelaide that weekend, went on my footy trip to Sydney the following weekend, and I missed the elimination final against Richmond, which I am spewing about, but my dad
I missed that game too.
Then went on a bus to Sydney the week after. So I was interstate 3 weeks in a row.
Awesome.
But no, probably my best one was with you in Perth last year.
Mark Murphy.
Yeah.
It's genuinely up there in my favourite football memories. It really was.
I think the highlight for me was probably Murph's goal, but then Liam copping it in the schnoz and sneaking into the Virgin Lounge and Daisy Thomas going, "You're right, mate," just covered in blood. That's probably the highlight of my year.
I'm pretty sure Daisy was walking through wearing one of was it one of our Simo tops, or was it? No, it was Mark Murphy 250 or something like that top. He was just randomly wearing that heading through it was a Simo 300 jumper he was wearing, or a top. Yeah, so that game last year against Freo, I mean, anyone who was there, whether you're a interstate fan from the Way Blues or whether you're a travelling cheer squad member, that'll be one that we don't forget anytime soon. So my memory of that game was we were a couple of goals down early and hand up. I may be known to some people in the Carlton footy fraternity for being that guy that does the positives every week and tries to keep an upbeat, rose-coloured glasses on all the time and things were all okay. But I was pretty pissed. And at halftime, I was cursing. I was cursing one player in particular, and that was Jack Silvani. He had a handful of really easy set shots, or very gettable at least, set shots in the first half, and butchered about 2 or 3 in a row. And I thought, well, we were those 2 or 3 chances away from, probably being ahead or at least being in that game. And at halftime, I remember in our cheer squad chat, texting back to Melbourne saying, for God's sakes, can we just find a role for this kid? Let's find him something to do that, he can actually contribute to the side. Sure enough, David Teague found that, and at halftime he put him on Nat Fyfe as a tagger, and I reckon he probably won us the game in that second half. His efforts were incredible.
Oh, 100% agree with that. 100%.
Huge. And comeback.
He put Fyfe to bed.
He did. Well, I thought Fyfe in the first half was probably the most influential player on the ground. He and what's the forward he's now gone, McCarthy, they were the two. You're just tearing us to shreds every time they got near it. Something good would come of it. But, yeah, totally nullified him in the second half. And I don't think any one particular player stood up and was like, hey, I'm a superstar, Patrick Cripps, get on my back, let's go. It was a real workman sort of performance. I think Curnow had like 17 clearances or something, but just hack it forward. But, yeah, Mark Murphy's goal, just all class, every single part of it. That's a great memory. So for me, I have been a member since 1995, which is also a very good year to become a member.
year to become a member? What a year.
So I have just celebrated a quarter of a century as a Carlton member. You get less for life. But and at times it's felt like a life sentence. But no, look, Carlton is my passion. Carlton is my life. As a result of the Carlton Football Club, I've met my now fiance through the cheer squad and things like that. So Carlton is everything to me. I became a cheer squad member. Now, what was our last game at Princess Park? Was that 2007?
Pretty sure. Melbourne.
6 or 7? Yep. So the last game there happened to be the year I joined the cheer squad. So I would go with my dad every week. And after we left Princess Park, he kind of said, "No, that's enough for me." He was heartbroken.
Shout out to Phil.
Big shout out to Phil. Footy Phil. Yeah, big fan of the show. But yeah, so when my dad stopped coming, I was a nomad. I was, a child in need of adoption sort of thing, so to speak. And I joined the cheer squad, and I found a bunch of other people who kind of needed someone to sit with as well. So here we go. We got Johnny Rowe, the other King Poobah, letting us know 2006. So it was 2007 that I joined the cheer squad for the first time. And I never turned
2006, John.
never turned back and started going to interstate games, and that's how I met a lot of people. Whether it was Jovan, who's the president of the cheer squad, shout out to Yov. And for the first couple of years, it was just a couple of us. It was Rob, Liam, myself, and Jovan and Risto were kind of the only ones doing interstate trips. Bell would come along a lot. And then slowly but surely it developed into this thing where not only did we have this real family core unit in Melbourne, but that crew travelling interstate, we had some parties. You mentioned that year, that game, the last game ever at Footy Park was when we beat Port Adelaide by a point, 2013.
That was a good game.
The wool shed on Hindley Street got torn apart. If they had any alcohol left on their shelf, if they had any beer left in the tap that night, I'll go because it was all Carlton fans absolutely destroying the joint.
And every Adelaide fan giving a shout in the bar.
There was Crows fans shouting everyone because they were laughing at the Port fans. There was too. It was awesome.
Great.
Yeah. So they're the sort of memories, and that's what for me during the tough times, and Carlton's had a lot of them over, let's say, the last 2 decades, but especially, even more recently, even as recent as 5 or so years ago, or a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. During those tough times, the interstate trips and the camaraderie between the cheer squad and Carlton fans in general has been what's really kept us going.
Yeah.
Anzac Day trip 2015, we go over to New Zealand, go over to Wellington to play the Saints. And there was only about a dozen of us or so, well, from the cheer squad, but a lot of fans went over, but a dozen of us or so from the cheer squad that went over. And we stayed about 5 or 6 nights and managed to get kicked out of 9 different venues in 5 nights.
The Kiwis don't know how to party quite like the Aussies.
We know how to party is all right. We can or cannot confirm that the fire alarms and sprinklers went off in a gay bar in the name of it, Cuba Street. What's the called? Anyway, the main road in Wellington Street. Wellington, pretty sure it's called Cuba Street. Anyway, the main bar there is a gay bar, and then we kind of set the sprinklers off, and the joint got evacuated, and the cops were after us. And anyway, we survived somehow. But for those who are watching, I cannot confirm nor deny, in case there's any political aspirations in my future, I can't admit to such a thing. But yeah, no, look, they're the best times, Shane. I mean, tell us about your footy days. So we're big AFLW fans on this show, and in our cheer squad. You've played against a lot of the girls in our AFLW side.
I've played against the Hosking twins. That was an experience in itself.
Are they fair players?
Yes. Yes. Kate Gillespie-Jones, that's now at North, used to play for Seaford as well.
Yes.
And Rebecca Privatelli, that plays for the Giants. I played junior footy against her back in 08-09. So, no, they are fair players.
Plano's from Seaford as well, didn't she? Did Nat Payne play for him?
I think so. Probably.
You don't remember playing? She might have played a different time or something. Yeah.
She may have played a different time. I remember playing back 2014, 2015. I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Before AFLW was huge, and I've played rep footy against Darcy or with Darcy.
Amazing. You know what I would give to be able to say I played footy either with or against Darcy Bessie? I mean, come on.
Not that I think the only two that do remember playing against me, or the four, were probably the four I first mentioned. Darcy probably wouldn't remember playing against me because she's played so much footy.
Yeah. Too big of a head, that one, you reckon?
No, not at all. I just think that playing AFLW, you'd have different priorities. You probably don't remember. You see so many faces playing against so many different people. You don't always remember who you play against or play with. Yeah. So it's but no, playing football in general is just especially being a female playing football. You hear all the nuffies go, "Oh, female football is this, that, and the other." Like you've seen it, everyone's seen it. It's total garbage. But hey, I love playing football, and each to their own. If they don't like it, scroll on. I say.
Couldn't agree anymore. What about so that's your playing days. Yep. Now you see these girls who have made it, and you mentioned there's Hoskins and Kate Gillespie-Jones, who's a former Carlton player right there. And who are the ones, they've come on, but are there anyone that you've kind of seen from a younger age? Like, did they always look like they were going to make it? I remember Sarah Hosking winning the VFL. Well, that was what it was called then. There was no AFL. The VFL, like the league, like the equivalent of the Brownlow sort of thing.
VWFL back then.
Yep, that's what it was called. Sorry, yep.
VWFL. Looking into my own backyard here, Sarah Dargan. I watched her play a lot of junior footy at Paco.
Yep.
Same with Georgia Patrikios. So I could see the potential for those two.
That girl's got a lot of talent.
Georgia. Yeah.
I was all about McAvoy when we drafted McAvoy and everything, and she's a star.
Then you watched Georgia play football, and then
because she wasn't ours, I didn't see a lot of her, admittedly. But the games that St Kilda played against us at Princess Park, I kind of got to see her more firsthand, and just hands down and said, "Oh, who's this girl?" Like it was, genuine.
Pace to burn, skills, silky. She polled really high in their best and fairest. I'm pretty sure she came close to winning, actually.
Okay. Yeah. So, genuinely, just captured your attention, sort of thing. The second you saw her out there,
Oh yeah, and even Sarah Dargan, she's moved to Richmond now, but even in the junior playing days, you could just see their footy brains. You can see it from a young age, and not everyone can develop a footy brain. Sometimes people have to be taught. If that makes sense.
100%, yeah.
And those girls 100% were coming up. You could see it. And as soon as AFLW was a thing and they all got to that drafting age, I'm like, if they don't get picked up,
there's something wrong.
Yeah. And as soon as Sarah got drafted, we're like, yeah, they're actually looking locally and not just at the big name clubs. Sure. Like your Darabins, your Diamond Creeks, where the majority of the first couple of years worth of pool came from.
We've been playing together for decades, that crew sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah. So the girls that played at Darabin, your Darcys, your Lauren Arnells, your Katie Brennans, they all played together. And they all played together at the Doggies and they played together at Melbourne. But now that they're starting to branch out and actually look at different areas and different clubs, you can actually see that there's potential. I see girls that play now, in the under 16s and lower, especially the AFLW players, if they put their minds to it. And I've seen girls that had the potential that just didn't have the heart to do it. So
sure. And a lot of them haven't had that opportunity, as you're saying. You see these girls now, you're saying at 16 years old, a lot of them, when AFLW first started, so that's now 4 years ago, or coming on 5, but 4 years ago, that starts, they're 12-year-olds. They're 11 and 12-year-olds who there's still time to capture them. And they've had that, let's call it an elite pathway through their teenage years. You can already tell the difference between the girls who have been playing since they were 10, uninterrupted through Auskick and whatever. And that's what, for me, AFLW is going to become. For the first couple of years, I love it as much as absolutely anyone. And, we've been there from the very first training session, which was 4 years ago yesterday.
I actually remember on my Facebook.
through still holding the merch and stuff now. We're diehard AFLW fans. But in its formative years, a lot of the commentary around it was applauding the effort, and it was applauding the desire and the hunger. And it was almost not patronising is not the right word, but it was focused on heart rather than skill. Yeah. In a lot of the commentary about it, someone like a Maddie Prasparkas comes on the scene and bang, it just changes, and the intensity and the elite nature of that sport it magnifies tenfold. And those sort of kids coming through, it's going to be, it's only going to be a product to be watching. Oh, Jeffrey O'Day's got a question for us. Thoughts on the coming AFLW season. So we got Rob, Shannon. We got Rob this year. Oh, I think we would have won the flag. Do you?
Yes.
I really do.
If we had we demolished anyone in our path in that final series. We didn't even get a chance to play Freo once with the conference system. Yep. And so everyone's saying, Freo would have run away with it. How do you know?
Freo were undefeated. They didn't play Carlton.
They did not play Carlton, so they technically did not. And going into the thoughts on our draft, like having a look at it earlier today, like the 3 picks that we picked up, a midfielder and 2 defenders, I reckon they'll fit in just nicely. Like Mimi Hill, from my stalking our social media for the AFLW, saw that she absolutely smashed
time trial
all comers in the yo-yo test. And if
yo-yo, so that's speed and agility sort of stuff, yeah. And so I did a show on we won't call it a rival network because we're all friends, but on Blue Abroad I was doing an AFLW a draft preview. Yeah, and Terry was asking me what sort of questions, what sort of player and what sort of players do we want to be looking for? And I said, well, look, Carlton, they're in a position to win a final. You just need that extra, it's the cherry on top of the cake sort of thing is what we're after. Yeah. We don't have any massive holes. I think we've got 2 of the best 3 ruckmen in the entire rucks in the entire competition. I think we've got the best full back. I think we've got arguably the best forward in Taylor Harris. The key position, we're pretty stocked. Oh, yeah. Just trying to get some outside speed. And by the looks of it, someone like Mimi's coming in, and if she's just breaking all these records in terms of yo-yo tests and that sort of thing, it looks like that they've chosen the right sort of talent.
I agree, Mish. AFLW Premiers 2021. But no, even the 2 defenders that we picked up in Winnie Lang and what was her name, Daisy, yes. I can actually see them fitting in to a half-back line because having a look at Winnie Lang at pick 36, she plays off the half-back flank, kind of like a Simo kind of role. If you want to,
wouldn't that be nice?
Comparison, wouldn't that be nice?
She's got a good assistant coach now if she does play that role to mentor her.
Yes. I hope everyone's happy that Simo's actually decided to stay on at the Carlton.
Can we pause? How good is that?
I actually shed a tear when I saw it.
Come on.
Yes.
Yeah, that's incredible. To get a player of Simo's calibre, not only for the AFLW side, they've already got Brad Fisher, they've got Daniel Harford, they've got Shannon McFerrin down there. They've got some is Salopek with us still? I'm pretty sure Salopek's still one of our assistants. Yeah. These guys have all, whether it was for women's comp or men's comp, played at the absolute highest level possible. But Kay Simpson's just absolutely elite. And then he's going to be helping out with the men's team and the reserves as well.
Oh, that just melts my heart when you say he's going to help the men's team too.
Yeah. So who are the players we're meant to be looking out for next year? You're mentioning the newbies, but is there anyone else we're going to be looking for? Johnny's shouting out to Grace Egan.
Yes. No. If she has a season, if she backs up her 2020 season, yeah.
That's the scene pretty well, yeah.
Oh, and I reckon if given another season, pre-season, watch Georgia G just explode. She exploded this year, but watch her go over take that extra step next year.
The most John's saying the most natural footballer for me. It's Maddie. Maddie is Georgia G. Yeah. Pure silk. It's like I'm watching Heath Scotland or something play football. She just does not fumble. She's built like this, and when she came to the club, we don't want to embarrass her, but she was very tiny.
Runs like the
just those foot skills, man. That's
that game where we sat in the heat, the Whitten Oval, early
Pride game.
Watching her in action was just next level.
She really is. Debbie O'Connor, Fisher has left, Nick. Okay, so Brad Fisher's left. Well, Brad Fisher and Simo are best mates, so they've been best mates since under 18 days. They came to the Eastern Ranges together. I still think they are still best mates, in fact. So I had just made the connection there and assumed that they had come. Simo Fisher had given him a call and said, "Right, buddy, let's get together and help steer this ship." But Brad Fisher's left. So thank you, Debbie. I missed that news. But yeah, Simo, what an addition. So what are the players? Who are the players for next year?
Whoa.
You mentioned Greg. I remember being at training and seeing Lucy McAvoy running around.
I was going to say Lucy.
I remember saying to Katie Loynes, Loynesy's also was one of our recruiters as well at the time. She helped draft a lot of these girls. And I remember saying to her, I said, "Gee, this McAvoy, she just, looks really steady and really strong in the middle of a contest and everything. She looked quite impressing me at this training session." And Loynesy's first words, she kind of giggled and said, "Oh, have you seen Greg play yet?" With respect, I said, "Who the hell's Greg? Didn't even know Grace Egan yet." And she pointed her out and said, "Oh, just keep an eye on her for the rest of the training session." She said, "She'll be someone you want to watch." And by the end of the training session, she'd, I think they had like a match simulation and she just tore it up, and automatically we knew we'd been on something good. And I remember that night, I'm pretty sure that Grace is sponsored by the WA Blues, which is why John Allen from the WA Blues was interested and kind of asked us a few questions saying, "Hey, did we see anyone special at training?" And I remember hitting up John Allen and just saying, "Mate, you're sponsoring a good one here. She'll make you all proud." What a talent.
Oh, I agree. But Lucy McAvoy is definitely one to watch for me. Just her marking prowess. She's one of those ones where the ball just comes and it just sticks.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Good call. Michael Howe, shout out, buddy. One of my favourite Taswegians. Tasmanians? Taswegians? Taswegians.
I did see
Tassie supporter group. They're awesome. You did see
a question a bit earlier about our pick swap that we just did today.
Let's find that.
We now have pick 31, I believe. We swapped with the swap earlier.
So we had pick 38, and so our picks going into tonight, we had 38, 48, and 78.
Yeah.
We've been a pick swap. Where are we?
We're pick 31, 38, and 78 now.
Yes, so we've gone up the order. So we're basically given. Here we go. I found the pick. The question you're after.
That's
from Jeffrey. We our newly picked 31. He thinks Sammy Walsh is bro. Henry Walsh. What do you think?
Oh, I haven't seen much of him, to be honest. But from what I am hearing around the circles, is that he is equally as good as his brother, but twice as tall. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't know about the equally good as his brother bit. If he's, I'll put my hand up. If he's half as good as his brother at any height, he's worth drafting. All I know about the kid, admittedly, I've seen him in the rooms a handful of times after a game, and the kid's as tall as the Empire State Building.
He's taller than his brother.
Yeah, he's 205 centimetres or something, and he's only 17 years old. Like, the kid's just scary tall. But apparently there is a lot of raw talent there. I don't know. He's obviously someone that Carlton fans have their eye on for obvious reasons because of Sammy Walsh. But maybe, is there – it seems to me that we've got someone in mind or something up our sleeve. Trev, are we cooking something up with this pick swap? What do you think? What do you think the reasoning is? Is there someone particular that we're after, or are we trying to package these picks together to try and move ourselves into the first round? What do you think we're going to do with it?
I don't know. What does everyone out there think?
Everyone hit us up in the comments. Let's get this interactive. What do you think we're actually going to be doing with this pick swap? What is the Michael Howe saying we'd take Henry Walsh in a heartbeat? It's a really interesting one for me. Here we go. Johnny will trade the first two picks for a late first rounder to get him. So we reckon we're really after the ruckman. So my personal opinion, I'm all for drafting the kid Walsh. I'm all for getting a ruckman in the draft or in the off-season, whether it's in the draft or a rookie spot, whatever. I think we do need a ruckman to replace the loss of Cruiser.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost time I think you can different than a lot of people. I think you can never have enough ruckmen on your list because they're great trade currency always. Even if they're really raw and green, we throw throw a lifeline to even if the state league ruckman or something, but help develop someone. I look at there was a handful of years ago, it's going back a while, but there was one stage where we had Cruiser, Hampson, Warnock, and Sammy Jacobs all on our list.
What a list.
and they were all very good quality ruckmen at the time. Hampson, I think, was very underrated. He was a handful of finals. He was just great. That 2013 final, I thought Robbie Warnock was one of our best and just never got the credit he deserved for it. But
no, that's true.
He's remembered as a hack, but I don't think, that he gets a lot of the credit for some of the stuff he did for us. But we were giving Sam Jacobs away for like 3rd and 4th round picks and stuff like that. Now the times have changed. All of a sudden now, every trade week, whoever you are, there's a random ruckman who every year all of a sudden becomes the next Justin Madden, and everyone wants to, they should trade pick 5 for them, or pick 3, or pick 4, or every year that someone comes out of the blue. Last year it was Darcy Cameron from Sydney to Collingwood. Everyone's saying, this is the next second coming. He's going to be the greatest thing since Jim Steins. He's going to be this. I mean, I saw him play against us, and Mason Cox is ahead of him, but Collingwood gave up a bit to get him. I think they gave up a 2nd or 3rd rounder or something for Cameron. So there's always a bit of currency in ruckman. So I think it's always good to have one on the list.
Well, exactly.
I'd be getting a small forward for me.
Well, I reckon, once Eddie's gone, I think the introduction of Fogarty might actually be something. I think there's something in that. Like, they did that for a reason.
Yep. I think that absolutely. And Fogarty seems a speculative pick. For me, I've seen a handful of other commentary on different shows and online. A lot of it's on Twitter, speaking about a guy from the Sandful called James Rowe. Now, James plays for Woodville West Torrens. He's only about 176 centimetres, so he's about a Zach Fisher height, but he's got a bit of a better build than him. Plays almost in like a Robbie Gray style role. He is only 21 years old. This year, in 17 games, kicked 47 goals, including, I think it was 4 or 5 in the prelim and the grand final in the Sandful, and really looks like, for me, I'd be giving pick 131 for him. Then if someone like a Walsh, if he is as good as all the hype is, I'm more than happy to get a ruckman as a second pick. But I still think there's an unaddressed need on our list for a small forward who can kick goals. I love Eddie Betts. He is Eddie Betts. He's one of the greatest of all time. And I still think, again, Carlton fans have given him a bit of a hard rap this year for his on-field performance. I still think he contributed at times quite well.
It's because he's there. People can't see the stuff that he does off screen. That's what I feel. There's a lot of stuff that he did behind the scenes that not everybody saw. Yeah,
I think there was a lot of the obvious things for me. What makes Eddie Betts is never fumbles. He's super quick and he does those freakish things. A lot of the fumbling came in this year. There were a handful of easy marks. I think he might have been trying. His mind still thinks he's 24 years old. 100%. And he can do all the freakish things. He's 34. He's 33. I don't want to make him even older.
Oh, but
even for the immortals like Eddie Betts, it does catch up. So I think there is a need. We didn't get Papley. We didn't get a Dan Butler. We didn't get one of these sort of guys. Now we need one. And I really hope, and I've got pretty high hopes that someone like Josh Honey will come on. In the reserves, at least, Matty Owies has showed a bit. So they've kept Owies on the team. A lot of people, I've seen a handful of people in our comments here. I'm going to try and get one of them up asking about someone like a Kennedy.
I think I saw Debbie ask why we rookied him.
Why didn't we rookie Bam?
We have.
I think we have, Debbie. So I think, we have to wait till the rookie draft to do it, Debbie. So we're going to basically nothing will change. He stays on our list. The only difference in effect is his pay will go down, obviously, to a rookie salary. But then with match payments and all those other incentives, they may be able to make it up to him should his performance warrant it. Personally, I think he probably is deserving of a place on the list. I say very slowly, but I think he scraped by.
Yeah.
There are a lot of rumours heading into trade period that we were after the likes of an Oliver, an Ollie Wines or, Trelaw's name come up quite a bit. Had they have gotten a player of that caliber, I think someone like a Kennedy all of a sudden becomes surplus to requirements. I think he's a bit slow, is my knock on him.
Look, he's had his moments where he's actually produced the quality footy we recruited him for.
Yep.
But I do feel that there are times where he can be a little bit slower to the contest, which is, not what we want. Look, don't get me wrong, he is a good footballer. He just, hopefully, with this second chance, will give him the spark that he needs to prove us all wrong.
I think Kennedy had a handful of good games this year. A lot of them were in the wet. And I don't think we can be – and what I think of that is that we've got a player who, when it's wet, that everyone else slows down to his pace. Now, I don't think we can be drafting or keeping a player on our list hoping that it rains. If it does, sweet, he's handy and that sort of thing. But we play our home games at Telstra Dome a lot of the time, or Marvel Stadium, I should call it, sorry. On a hard, flat deck like that, he would get exposed. So, Gavin asking Cunningham, does he have the smarts in the hands to be a great small forward?
He does. Here's another one that
he's down the park.
All the potential in the world. He had the best game of his life against Essendon this year.
It was fantastic. I thought, finally.
And then all of a sudden he dropped off the face of the earth and didn't get picked.
Yeah.
So it has to be that balance, and having the introduction of our own VFL side next year might actually give him the opportunity to, get that form that he needs. Like the competition they had this year, those little intra-club things, I don't think were actually beneficial to anybody. So when the players actually did come in, like a Paulson
and they were playing 10 aside with like little league goalposts, like a little plastic, not even actual goalposts. They were 6 foot tall.
They don't have to get the opportunity to get the proper run in their legs and the what do you call it? Like the skill set to come into the higher level. Whereas when I had the Northern Blues, even then half the side was not even Carlton listed players. So I love the Northern Blues, but I think this might be the opportunity now to have the VFL in its own right, and then to develop our players and to create that depth that we all crave.
I don't disagree with a lot of that, Rafi. Before we went, full disclosure, for those of us, for Shannon and I, before we went on air, we were able to discuss without this actually being live on Facebook and YouTube and everything. And I kind of said that I and Shannon agreed, she does the same. When it shows like this, we would put comments in hoping they'll get put up. So that's what Rafi's done. So I'm going to honour that, and you put it up. Rafi calling Cunningham a cock tease. I almost agree. I do, because that game against Essendon, you mentioned that game against Essendon, and he was so far and beyond the best player on the ground that day. He was incredible.
Yeah.
Other than that, there was a really clean moment. He gathered the ball at 50 and he kicked, not the winner, but the sealer at least against North Melbourne this year up at the Gabba. Other than that, I don't think I saw him get a kick. And I think we all know the talent's there. He was, picked 29, picked 28, something or other. 4 or 5 years ago.
Our stats girl.
I think that there's a lot of potential and a lot of talent there. And if he reaches that talent that we have seen in spurts, I would happily sit through a 28-minute video to see him re-sign again. That the club put out. I'd do that every single day of my life for the rest of my life if he plays to that potential. Because if he does that, we don't only skyrocket into the 8. That's the missing link. If a player like him steps up, that allows the Jack Martins, the Fishers, the whoever's to just play more freely. And Jack Martin, I feel, is a midfielder, not a forward. That just opens things up so much. If a player like a Cunningham steps up, forget about it. Carlton's skyrocketing.
If Cunningham comes on, I see a lot of Andrew Carazzo in him, like the type. The type of player he is. I actually see a lot of Andy Carazzo in him. Do
you think he is a midfielder? Then do you think he's a midfielder?
Yes, he has the ability to be a midfielder. He has the pace to burn. Yeah. Every time I see him pick up the football, he puts the jets on and away he goes. Whether he hits the target or not, it's another story. Sure. But he has the ability, and he just needs to. You know what I mean? Get the kick up the bum he needs. And that goes without saying for a lot of our players this year. Like for me, the player that I think needs to improve tenfold, you know who's coming.
I was wondering how long it would take in our show for you to mention him. Yeah.
Mitch McGovern. I guarantee you everybody watching will have 100%.
This will set the comments off.
We pay him enough and he gives us dribs and drabs. If anyone's going to be a cock tease, it's him. It actually drives me insane that we paid him so much money from Adelaide and he's giving us not much. Yes, he's had his ups and downs with his weight issues and his injuries and stuff like that, but 2021 is make or break for Mitch McGovern for me.
I agree. Look, there's been excuses. There've been valid excuses. He did have a broken back and all of this sort of stuff, but he did come to the club unfit. But again, that is because of injuries. It's not my role to make excuses for the bloke. I think that was 2019. Yeah. I can make excuses for 2019, sure. And even then, I thought he showed a few glimpses. I think it was St Kilda. He took a big specky over Carlisle and did a handful of other things. I thought, yeah, he's gonna come on. 2020, early in the season, I thought he had a real handful of games. Mish has got faith in McGovern.
I love your faith.
I think there was moments where at the start of the year, I think it might have been the Bulldogs game and I think the Essendon game, even the Richmond round one. Cruiser goes down early. I thought Casbolt and McGovern both worked their asses off, crashing packs, bustling in and working their tush off for the club. At the end of the day, that's the role I think McGovern plays. I don't need McGovern taking 14 marks. I'd love it. I don't need him kicking 6 goals. I don't think that's his role. For me, he's our Aaron Hamill.
Okay.
You've got your Whitnell and your Kudafidis, your guys who can just take the game by the scruff of the neck and just go bang. Aaron Hamill was the enforcer. Aaron Hamill was the one who ran off the corner of the square at the centre bounce, went like that into someone and just put the fear of God into the opposition. And then had the ability to make a tackle, take a good mark, kick a goal here and there and impact player. I didn't think he was going to be the sort of I'm going to dominate for 4 quarters sort of guy. It's time for him to deliver now. I've seen this for him. It's 2020 was on the last chance. 2021, there's no more excuses. Last year of the contract for Gov, he had to deliver.
Yes. But no, going back to the Aaron Hamill likeness, if Mitch McGovern is going to be like that, he actually needs to tackle. I'm sick of him bumping. Okay. Like he goes into the contest and he bumps the player. Knowingly, you could tackle him. We could have had a free kick. But
you know who else does that? Jack Martin. It started to piss me off at the end of the year.
We're going to go into players that started pissing us off. We'll be here all night.
Yeah. No, Jack Martin doesn't piss me off, but that one facet of his game does. I think Jack Martin was an incredible pickup for us. That round 1 game just showed what we've got on our hands.
That's actually a fair call. I was just reading one of the comments. Bronco, Kennedy only played 7 games 2020, and those 7 games are named in the best 4 times. I'll pay that.
Yep. I do pay that. I think he played a handful of good games this year, but my response to that would be that a lot of them were, again, on a wet deck with pouring rain all game, and it slowed everyone else down to his pace. He's similar to a Jobe Watson. Think of Jobe Watson. When Jobe Watson was playing, everyone called him slow and that sort of thing. When it came to the end of his career, let's say, and everyone else started getting faster, he didn't get faster. When the tempo had to go up a notch, he didn't have that extra gear. And I know the bloke he didn't win a Brownlow legally, but I look at that's what I think of Kennedy. I just think he's kind of relying on everyone else coming down to his pace, and then then he's great. Yeah, I think he works hard enough and runs hard enough and stuff like that. I think he got a bit injured at times, Kennedy, but yeah, he look, I think, as I said before, I think there's a spot on the list for him, but he's not in my best. Well, not in my best 22, but I don't think he's necessarily in the emergencies or anything either for me, because we have got a lot of depth at Carlton.
I would have thought we'd be saying
but we need not only him, but we need a lot of the guys that I'm calling depth. We need them to stand up, whether it's Kennedy, whether it's Paddy Dow. I saw a comment here about Paddy Dow. Let's find that one.
Dow and O'Brien. Season's coming up. Good call, Raffy. Good call.
There it is. It's Raffy. Let's give Raffy back for the big seasons coming up for Dow and O'Brien. Is this a good way to segue, Shannon? Because we know a segment we want to talk about. Yep. It's going to get a lot of people talking.
Yep.
For everyone who is watching, and thank you for everybody who is commenting and taking part in this, we've got a segment we're going to call Unpopular Opinion. And we're not doing this in order to piss people off. We're not doing this in order to make enemies or try and get the club play. Not just trying to attack players at the club at all, because that's not our focus.
No.
We're doing this for a bit of a laugh, and we want to have a segment where we can generate discussion.
A healthy discussion.
A healthy discussion. So unpopular opinion. The rules of unpopular opinion is, what is something that you think no one else thinks?
Right.
Can I start?
Go for your life.
I think Paddy Dow will become a very good player for the Carlton Football Club. I have the utmost faith that he'll turn out all right. Maybe not O'Brien. I think I've seen enough with Paddy Dow to suggest that he'll get there. A lot of people aren't going to agree with me.
Sold. No.
Sorry?
A lot of people won't be sold. No.
No. And look, if you only have to spend 5 minutes on Twitter, mention Paddy Dow's name on Twitter, and the comments will show you what a lot of Carlton fans think of him. He's someone who, again, next year will start running out of excuses next year. This year was his excuse. This year he couldn't get his body right, had a bit of a niggling injury. He was played when he shouldn't have. He was thrown to the wolves and unfairly played in the wrong position. I think early on he was kind of – the only problem I've had with Paddy Dow is the finishing. Gets the clearance work really well. It's that last kick inside 50. How many times did we run up? And he would be the one delivering the ball inside 50. He'd get to that last kick and he'd butcher the kick, or he'd have a set shot at goal and miss it.
Yeah.
That's the only real knock on him. I don't think that's his role. I think he is an inside midfielder who gets the ball out to the likes of the Jack Martins, the Fishers, we're now going to have the likes of Zach Williams. Mark Murphy's been a finisher. These sort of guys are the ones you want delivering the ball inside 50.
The elite.
Sam Doherty's become that player, the guy kicking the ball inside 50. I think he's not that player. So,
Well, having a look at some of the comments, I think people are actually agreeing with you, Nick.
That is for a way to get off on an unpopular opinion bandwagon by starting with an opinion that other people agree with. I thought I was the only one. I feel so seen. There are people in here who agree with me, which is totally ruining the idea of the segment. I was hoping to get everyone fired up with this.
I think I'll get people fired up with the person I want to talk about. I think my person might ruffle a few feathers.
Go for it. Start it up.
Right.
What is your unpopular opinion?
The fact
this is going to be good, everyone. I know what it is.
We made the right decision in delisting Ben Silvani.
Awesome. So great. The Silvani name is just religious at Carlton.
No, the reason why, and I made some notes this afternoon, like when you mentioned this to me today, I'm like, okay, unpopular opinion. Who can I pick? Mm-hmm. And the first person that stuck out in my head was Ben Silvani. So the day that we actually announced his delisting, the social media went off chops going, you can't do this to the Silvani name.
It was as if we delisted Serge Silvani or Stephen,
Correct. Mm-hmm. But for those people that know me, and you included, I go to the VFL games as much as I possibly can. And I see the body language of Ben Silvani. And to me, it wasn't the body language of an AFL footballer. That's just how I feel. Okay. And he to me at times he looked like he was very uninterested out on the field. And I've heard things, even his own mother yelling out to him. Saying,
if there's any one of the Silvanis you don't want to piss off, it's Joe, let's be honest.
No, don't piss off Joe Silvani. Like,
no.
Son to actually put in, that speaks volumes to me.
Yep.
But and I understand the whole Silvani name, and people are like, oh no, can't do that to Ben. We can't do that to Ben. But if you don't show your heart, you don't show the intent to want to play AFL football, you're not going to get the opportunity to play. Sure. And he obviously didn't show enough at VFL level to want Teague to give him a game.
Yeah. I think ultimately with Ben, my thoughts, I think ultimately he is probably a victim of the list shortening and all that sort of stuff, because a lot of people are also saying for the draft, going back to the draft discussion, a lot of people are now saying we kind of need another key defender or a key position because we've lost whether they're quality options or not. We've lost McCready, Ben Silvani, Finbar O'Dwyer, Hugh Goddard, Callum Moore. So that's 5 key defenders, really, that we've now lost. So we're probably going to need to get another one. I don't think that Ben, in the 2 years he had, again, this year was so compromised. They're playing Mickey Mouse reserves comp. I think in that 2 years, though, others have taken the step up. I'll look at someone like a Matty Cottrell, was the last bloke on our list last year. Yeah. And what I saw of him at VFL level and everything last year, everyone may remember, I put a tweet out middle of last year from the Cheer Squad's Twitter saying, hold me to it, Cottrell's playing senior footy for this club. And everyone said, no, he's probably ranked 46th on the list. He's not there. He's not going to get there. Sure enough, this year he got there, kicked the winning goal in a game for us. And I think he's shown a bit. A lot of people are making the comparisons to Mitch Robinson and stuff like that. I look at Ben, and I don't think he made quite that leap that someone like a Cottrell did. I think a handful of players went past.
And that's my view. It's not like I'm just reading one of the comments. No, I don't think he was too pretty. I don't think that was the reason why he didn't at AFL level. Very funny.
If being pretty got you fired, Jack would be gone too. They're a good-looking family, let's be honest. If Dimples got you Brownlow votes, they'd all have like 6.
100%. But no, I know we didn't get the opportunity to see Ben at AFL level, and that's a shame because he was touted as better than Jack.
Yeah, he did when he came as a junior. A lot of people have said that. Yep.
Yeah, like they were actually saying he was going to be better than Jack. And yes,
and he's a big boy. I saw him. Michelle and I were at Danini's about 2 or 3, whenever we were allowed out for dinner again, 2 or 3 weeks ago in Melbourne. Shout out to Danini's, the best restaurant in Melbourne. We went there and the Silvani family came in. I don't know if I shared this with everybody, but the Silvani family came in for dinner, and I did my best not to try and eavesdrop in on the conversations that Stephen was having and stuff like that. But Benny's a big boy. He's tall, he's broad, and that sort of thing.
That's what makes
maybe in a couple of years, if he does want enough, we're questioning, does the kid have the desire and the passion for it? If he does, I reckon he's got the physique and stuff to match it. But at the end of the day, do you want him? Maybe now this is the best thing that might happen to him. Hopefully it might not even happen to Carlton. That would be a horrible thing to think of. But if the kid's good enough, they'll still find a pathway back.
I think that's exactly what I'm saying. Like if he wants that spot on an AFL list and he wants to prove all of us wrong, hey, I'm happy for him to prove me wrong.
Good call.
Like if he gets picked up at another club and he absolutely kills it, all the better for him. Like I'm not knocking him in general. I'm just saying based on what I've seen of him, I just didn't see he was ready to make that step. And I'm not going to use COVID as an excuse because
every single player in the competition had to deal with COVID this year. Correct. Some of them were able to rise to the occasion, some of them weren't. And that's, again, not necessarily a knock on just Ben, but that's maybe a lot of other players saw the opportunity and took it. We mentioned, he got on a list and may have he's now been delisted. Can he get back and make that next jump? A player whom I admire greatly, and I don't want to speak about players from other clubs too much, but I think Sam Menegola from Geelong's a gun. He was on the list of, now don't get me wrong, I believe it was the Crows and Essendon. He was on 2 senior lists as a rookie. Came as a rookie at one of the clubs, got delisted, got picked up by another club, got delisted, and then spent 2 years in the state league competition before Geelong drafted him. And now if he wasn't All-Australian, I'm pretty sure he's damn close. He's a very, very, very good player. I look at the likes of Tim Kelly, overlooked in how many drafts and got close to a Brownlow the past 2 years. I look at Sam Mitchell, played for Box Hill for 4 or 5 years, went on to be one of the greatest players of the generation. If you want it enough, you'll get there. Michael
Gibbons played for VFL level.
Yep.
And Kane Lambert, two-time premiership player now. 3-time premiership player now. And in replying to you, Johnny, I reckon we would rookie him again if we were given the opportunity.
Would we rookie him? Apparently, we've only got one rookie spot available, and I think that might be Kennedy's spot. Don't hold me to that. Because they've shortened the lists for the rookies, I think we're more likely to use that list spot, if you will, on maybe a delisted free agent. They're going to be dabbling there. There's a few rumours on Twitter and stuff about Oscar McDonald maybe coming in as a key position defender as maybe 1 year option. For at least 1 year, he'd offer more than a kid would, but do you then go the long-term option for the kid? Late in the season, we tried McGovern down back, and I don't think it was terrible. I think it was
I've heard a few comments before about saying they prefer to see Gov out up in the back line. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Would you put him in an SPS kind of role?
I'd put him absolutely anywhere that he gets included into the game and makes him earn a kick. And that's the same for every single player. If you can't find the footy, put you somewhere where the footy finds you.
I did that with Levi towards the end of 2019. Moved him into the back line and
with started.
Levi, big Levi.
100%. Levi's the perfect example. Levi for me this year, late in the year really started to struggle. The ball and again, the delivery inside 50, someone mentioned before that the delivery toward Eddie wasn't great. I think if we start finding out the delivery to our forward line from, we said before about Paddy Dow having to be that guy doing the kick. If we get the ball in the hands of the Jack Martins, the Zach Fishers, the Sam Walshes, the Zach Williams and these sort of guys, if they're the ones delivering the footy, our team will look so much better. You know, Harry Mackay let's be honest, in an all right side, showed a hell of a lot this year of what he can do. You give that bloke delivery, he'll kick 50 goals.
Oh, yeah.
God knows when, what sort of state he gets back, but when Charlie Curnow gets back and these sort of guys. So I think McGovern's a bit of and so is Casbolt, a bit of a victim of that. But late in the season, when we started playing De Koning and Pitnet together, especially, Casbolt didn't do that backup ruck role. And that meant that he just did not impact games at all. And I think Levi needs that to get into the game.
That was a real shame because I know that Levi has all the ability in the world. And even like at the start of this year, his kicking for goal, I think he
elite.
And
there was one time I think he kicked 9 in a row at one stage. I don't know it was how many games, but there was 9 goals in a row that he straight.
To segue for a second here, I've been reading a couple of comments throughout the stream about Willow and how most people reckon they should be putting him on the wing. I'd like to get your thoughts on that. Like I personally, I think
Willow on the wing.
Yeah, I think I said it in my Blue Abroad with Terry that I wouldn't mind seeing him move up into the wing. I want to get your take on it.
I love Doug Williamson. He is, for me, the success story of 2020, above all else. To come back from where he's come back, and he's a great kid as well. Like, he's the sort of kid who, on social media, quite interactive with the cheer squad, and if anyone ever gives him a pump up, he's always very appreciative, but he'll also reply to fans and stuff like that. So, so I've grown to admire the kid off field as well as on field, but he worked his ass off. He's a phenomenal kick at the footy. I think that still makes him stay in the back six for me because I think defensively he offers a lot, and I think he's good below the knees, but also he's not exactly short. He can kind of play on those medium forwards. If desperate, he can kind of play that third tall sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think the replacement for Simo's role as that loose freewheeling defender goes to Plowman now, rather than Plowman having to be the lockdown. He's the only bloke we've had on small forwards. He's the guy who goes to the Charlie Cameron, goes to the what's the guy from Freo, Walters, those sort of players. He's had to go on them.
Pretty sure he's still in Plow's pocket.
Oh, doesn't what. But I think they sort of a player like a Williamson and the addition of Sard allows him to do that. For me, the one who comes out of the half-back line onto the wing is Petrevski-Seton.
Is he in our best 22 though?
He's in mine. He's in mine.
In yours? Okay. With the introduction of Sard and Williams for mine, I'd say he'd be either on the bench or just missing for mine.
Sure. Well, if nothing else, it puts someone like a Petrevski-Seton and those additions, as you mentioned, puts him under pressure to keep his spot. He's in my 22, but a lot of people may not be. So for someone like a Petrevski, it puts the fire under their ass. We all know they've got talent. These are the players I'm talking about. We all know they've got talent. I was talking about Paddy Dow before. I think he's got it in him. Well, You put Zach Williams in that midfield. The development of Setterfield's been very good. Walsh is an absolute out-and-out gun. The likes of Martin and these sort of guys around. It's not easy for Paddy Dow to get a game all of a sudden. We've got guys like Stocker and Kemp and Philp coming through the reserves or through coming through the draft in the past 2 years, knocking on the door. There's no easy games anymore. So whether it's Patrick Cripps or whether it's Matty Owies, it's time to pull your finger out if you want to play a game this year. There's no certainties that the likes of Eddie Betts get a game. Mark Murphy's no certainty to get a game.
No. And how good is it to actually be able to say that after so long? The actual depth. And even like Rob just mentioned, JSOS. Yeah, of course JSOS can get back in that team.
Can he? Yes.
Yes, but he just needs to, like everybody else, have the fire lit up his backside and prove himself.
100%. There's no room for tag-alongs anymore. Whether your name's Patrick Cripps, whether your name's Matty Owies, you've got to work your ass off. Which new recruit's going to have the biggest impact next year, Shannon?
Hard to go past Sard. Yes, most of you know that I'm married to an Essendon supporter, so I've been to a few.
I don't know how you do it.
Shush. I've been to a few cheeky games just to watch as a third party, secretly hoping they'd lose. Watching Adam Sard play off that half back line, he was Essendon's defence, and it's easy to see why. It's easy to see why Essendon were playing hardball with us. 100%. I can see why they were playing hardball with us to keep him, because he's elite, and to have a neighbour as Ange Christou, can't go past it, right?
There's actually already calls. Do we give the woof to Adam Sard and stuff?
Big call.
I'm not personally for it. If it happens organically, great. I don't like forcing it on people. We've forced it on that many players over the journey. We gave it to bloody Matthew Watson. We gave it to Tom Fields. For God's sakes, that happened. Chris Bryan, we gave it to. We've got to stop trying to make Wolf happen.
It's not going to happen.
It's to happen organically. It's, it's like the Cruiser chant. It just developed itself. Someone earlier this year, it may have been me, was trying to handball that off to Jack Nunes and go Nunes rather than Cruz. But it's got to happen organically. Anyway.
Jacob Wiedering. Jacob Wiedering.
I like Weeders. Someone mentioning Stocker, Mac Champion. Stocker, where is he at? The boat's leaving the dock. Is he keen to run and jump? I bloody hope so. This kid, during trade week, Sauce was on trade radio and he said this kid is special. And that's a big rut.
100%. Coming from
my only memory, well, he did. They moved heaven and earth to get him. They did a big famous pick swap, which Sauce knew where Adelaide were headed. He was just a year ahead of his time. We would have gotten Matty Rowell out of it if it was the Catholic way around, if it was a year later.
Yeah.
But for me, Stocker, all my only real sight of him around the club, there was a training session last year that he was at, and they were kind of doing like stoppage drills and stuff like that, where forward 50 stoppage, man on man. You're either trying on the attacking side, trying to get the ball from a forward 50 stoppage and kick a goal, or you're trying to stop the stoppage and clear defensive 50 sort of thing. He was lining up one-on-one on Cripps at a stoppage. And Cripps, as a leader, and was almost like a big brother or a mentor sort of thing, he wasn't taking it easy on the kid Stocker. He was, tough love. I'm going to kind of whack you around in a good way, not being a dick, but I'm going to whack you around a bit to show you the level it's got to be at. And Stocker didn't blink an eyelid. And there was one moment where Cripps kind of got the ball. He's going to have a shot, and all of a sudden we're just on the sidelines having a bit of a chat, and you just hear whack. And it was Stocker just nailing Cripps with this really hard tackle. He was in a super tackle he put on Cripps, and meant to be a good kick and tackler. He was elite. And everyone kind of shuddered, thinking, we heard the tackle on Cripps. We thought, shit, what's just happened is he just nailed our best player. Cripps was loving it, because he kind of was as if in his head he thought, I found a kid who can hold his own sort of thing, He got up, laughed, scruffled the kid's head and said, well done, son, and they kind of went on to the next one. I remember looking at that thinking, well, it was kind of like this big brother showing the little brother how it's done sort of thing. I loved it. And I based all of my opinion on that one moment. So I think he'll get there. Is he someone that you've got in mind, or is there Kemp?
No, I've only seen Stocker in little bits and pieces, but from what everyone's been saying, it's actually he's something to get excited about, and I just hope that he gets himself right. Like, I know he left the hub for personal reasons. I
don't profess to know what those reasons are.
No, neither do I. I'm not going to speculate either. I just hope that whatever it is, he gets himself right, and it's all 100%. And when they do come back, what is it, January now? They're saying.
I think they're literally coming back Jan now. Yep.
Yeah, they're going to come back in Jan, and hopefully we'll be able to actually attend some of these open sessions, and it'd be good to see football actually in action again. Like, let's just hope we get to go next year. That'd be something special. But no, Kemp. I've heard big raps on Kemp.
Kemp looked great.
I would just like to see them actually even just blood new players.
You know how everybody every year says, "Oh, I know a guy who's a recruiter," or "I know a guy who plays under 19s," or whatever. A cousin of mine has played under 18 level. He played for Oakley and sort of thing, and Gippy Power. But I remember speaking to him last year before the draft, before we got Kemp and Philp, and said, who are the kids I'm meant to be looking out for this year? Everyone knew Rowell and Anderson were the top two. But, who else am I meant to be looking for? And he only mentioned 3 names in the whole thing. He said Caleb Sarong, who's gone on to win the Rising Star now, who at draft time is the one I wanted. He mentioned Hayden Young, who was always going to go to Freo and went to Freo as the halfback. And he mentioned Brody Kemp. And he said, without fail, they are the next 3 best players in the draft pool behind Rowell and Anderson. He said those 5 are streets ahead of everyone else. After that, it's pretty even from there. We got him from whatever, what pick did we end up using on him? We had pick 10, I believe, was going to be, or Sarong, or pick 9 it was going to be, and we ended up using 9 for 17 and 20 or something like that.
Right, yeah.
And we got the 2 players with those 2 picks. I think Kemp, if he is all barring a knee injury when he was drafted, if he's meant to be in the best 5 players in that draft, we're laughing.
Oh, aren't we just?
And because of his size, he can play back, he can play forward, he can play midfield.
The utility we are craving.
Yeah.
Essentially, the utility that I feel can play, like you said, any role. And if we can get someone like that could be a swing player, then, yeah, we're laughing.
Imagine it wouldn't be handy having a Jared Waite type back in the team. You need
Jared Waite.
A fit, unsuspended Jared Waite. But that's the sort of thing. And by the looks of him, he said he wants to play midfield. Great. I love hearing that, because I love kids taking on the challenge and saying, "Nah, put me in, coach. I want to be part of it."
Yeah.
Winners want the ball, and if he wants to be around the ball, then I'm all for that. We were talking before we came on the air tonight about the list and where we're at. A couple of players. Before we do that, I want to mention here, Max got a question. Kemp, Stocker and Kennedy, if you had to put one of them in the best 22, who do you put in?
Based on what we know, I'd say Stocker for mine.
Based on what we know and what I think what we need, I'm going to choose Kemp, because, as I said before, I think we need goal scorers, and I look at him as he comes into the team to start with. Before I think he plays midfield, I see him kind of playing as a half-forward sort of extra role. He can play tall, he can play short. He's got a bit of speed about him, hopefully. I would see him playing forward first and before he moves into midfield, similar to like a Jaden Stevenson or a De Goey or that sort of player. Yeah. Impact player up forward is what I see him as. But, so that's our 2 cents. But before we were going, I was about to segue. Is there any other list management or any decisions? Did anything surprise you? Any one of the listings catch your eye that you thought, "Oh, I thought they deserved another crack"? Or
well, I was saying to you just before we came on, Fraser Phillips for mine was a little bit of a strange one. Like, we only rookied him.
Cool.
Last year?
Yeah, 1 year on the list.
On it before. We only drafted him. Yeah, it was what pick? We picked him up as a 2019 NAB AFL rookie draft selection. Half forward, best mate of Harry Mackay, and we didn't even. Yeah, we didn't even give the poor kid a crack at any sort of. I get it with the whole list downsizing. We had to make some concessions, but I'm pretty sure we could have made some room in there to give him another crack, because 1 year's hardly even like, given this whole situation with 2020,
sure.
Like, and everyone's saying it's impacted not just us, it's impacted every club. Given he's meant to be, something good, why not give him another chance? Well, it doesn't make
I'll
sense.
put you on the spot here. Let's get the controversial calls going again. You mentioned before that you might find a spot for him. If he gets back on the list, who goes? Whose spot will you give him on our list? So who's still there that I reckon, that Phillips, he showed a bit, or maybe it's a similar position. Maybe we've got too many of one position or something.
Well, if we're putting Fisher, like Zach Fisher, we haven't mentioned him yet. If we're putting him as a small forward, does that push Owies out for mine?
Maybe.
Like, we only saw one game.
Exactly. It seems that they see more in Owies than they're seeing Fraser Phillips.
Yeah.
And from the VFL, lack of a better term, the reserves competition, Owies was kicking 3 and 4 every week, which is great, but I worry about the intensity of those games.
That's what I said to you.
That's not a knock on Owies. He was getting 3 more goals every week than anyone else was. So, we're mentioning the guys that were willing to step up. Well, he took a chance and managed to earn himself a debut that 22 weeks ago I didn't think he'd get.
No, 100%. But like Trevor, I was just reading what Trevor was saying. We do have too many of his type.
That sort of medium half forward sort of style.
Yeah. When you look
he's not going to get a game ahead of Gibbons, Cunningham, now Fogarty. You'd put Jack Martin in there. You'd put Zach Fisher, Eddie Betts, 6. Mark Murphy might even start playing that sort of role all of a sudden. Potential for Petrevski-Seton to become a half forward if he leaves half back. There's a lot of.
You've got Harry, Charlie, Levi as the tall forwards.
Lockie O'Brien, where's he at?
Lockie O'Brien. Well, actually,
does he get that half forward spot?
Well, actually, if you're going to mention put me on the spot, I'd say if we're going to do that, maybe Lockie, LOB. I know he's out of favour, and when he comes,
that's the rumour.
That is the rumour, and maybe potentially if they were going to keep a player like Phillips, would you make concessions for a player like O'Brien? But they're two completely different players.
I look at O'Brien as someone who's at the moment not living up to potential, whereas I look at Fraser Phillips as someone who I don't even know what the potential is. I haven't seen enough to even get a gauge of that.
Well, that's
a complete unknown. I would possibly rather look at O'Brien and say, yes, he's not meeting my expectations yet, but I've got expectations because I know what I think I know what he could be.
Yeah.
That versus a complete unknown, I suppose I'm going to go with that. I think you're probably right the first time. I'd say Owies. If you're going into next year, if you're ranking them from first to, let's say there's 40 on the list, first to 40th, he probably starts next year as 40th for me.
Okay.
But it's not to say that he's not going to get a game. It's not going to say that he hasn't got the opportunity to do well. But I think he probably hung on by the skin of his teeth because we didn't manage to find a Papley, didn't manage to find a Dan Butler or a, Jared Cameron from West Coast was someone I was looking at. We didn't manage to pull him in. But I think if we don't go, I mentioned James Rowe from the Sandford before. If we do get someone like that, I think the likelihood of someone like Owies getting a game is very small.
Yeah, well, that's it. And then most of these players will have to prove themselves in the VFL level. And this is the kind of good discussion that we can have. Like, this is a good problem. It's not a bad problem. This is a good problem. Like,
Gone are the days where we're giving Cameron O'Shea and Aaron Mullett games just because they're there.
And, that's it. I want this predicament. I want people to be going, oh, we should be playing Hood instead of him. We want this healthy discussion. We want people to be saying, oh, we want this player in, we don't want this player in. We want them to be earning their positions because now I think David King said today that Carlton aren't just going to take baby steps into the 8. We're going to take a massive leap.
I don't know when it's going to happen. Hopefully it's this year coming up. But I think that is what is going to happen to us. We were in a lot of, like, we all talk about how many games this year we gave up a 5-goal run and that sort of stuff. I think we were in games in the last quarter a lot of the year that we probably let slip. Like that round 2 versus, pardon me, we came back from 7 goals down and only lost by a kick to Melbourne.
Oh.
We could have won that. And we are a better team than Melbourne in my mind. We should have beaten GWS. We should have beaten Collingwood. There's 3 right there. Port Adelaide, the prelim finalists, as the siren rang, we're ahead of them. There's 4 right there, but I'd also include, I mean, you do not lose to the Adelaide Crows, for God's sakes.
Don't even get
We don't mention it. Let's make it a rule for this show. We don't mention that game ever again. No. But there's 5. Let's say 5. We should have won.
Yeah.
5 wins puts you 5th. That's not even sneaking in the 8. 5 more wins puts us 5th.
Yeah.
And you're bordering on the top 4. And at times, our best, I seriously do think that our best matches anyone's. Unfortunately, our worst, as we saw in that game that we're not ever going to mention again, we could lose to anyone else. So we've got to make the margin between the best and the worst go like that. If the margin goes from that, well, actually, not like that, because we don't want the best to come down. We want the worst to come up to here.
And it'll happen. It'll happen like that. And like you said, our best was insane. Like that Western Bulldogs game where we beat them by near on 10 goals. We pulled that out of nowhere. And I want more of that, Carlton. Oh. Not the game that shall not be named.
Yep. Like the Bulldogs game was perfect. And the first half even of Geelong, when they came back and we were out on our feet and everything, and they made a grand final. They're no duds. Geelong are a damn good side.
Oh, 100%.
We were toying with them in the first half of that game at Kardinia Park. Absolutely toying with them.
Oh, we were. We actually played the kind of style of football that I like to see.
It was 20 years since, like, we beat them in general down there, but, like, no one's beaten them down there like that in 20 years, let alone us.
No.
We were murdering them at halftime, and it was a joy to behold. So don't fear that, you know, we're taking any sideward steps or anything. This year was a step forward for me.
I agree, 100%. This year for me has probably been our best year in the last 4 or 5.
Oh, well, statistically it has. Win-loss ratio it was. We had to win that win.
Culture-wise as well. And the fact that we've actually got a coach that, like, I'd say David Teague is endgame, if we're going to put it that way. I believe he'll be the coach that'll take us to where we want to be.
I love that. I think I agree. You think you
agree?
I think I agree. I think I would like to see more proactive. A lot of people say, well, when the opposition does get the 5-goal run on us,
pull the trigger.
Where is the plan B or plan C or D or E or F? That doesn't happen to an Alistair Clarkson coach side. That doesn't happen to it's not wanting to, well, if he becomes Clarkson, then great. But you know what I mean by that? Like, yeah. I want to see aggressiveness. I want to see boldness at the selection table rather than, oh, well, we'll just put in, Casbolt or McGovern again because we need a big body or something. Go all out once in a while and say, well, stuff it. If injuries do decimate us, we've got the option of changing things up. I want to be bold and say, let's find this player who's on the fringes and say, right, here's your crack at it. I want you to play this role. I liked what he did with Fisher. So Teague, in my mind, put the fire under Zach Fisher and made him earn his spot. Yep. Played him in the reserves at the start of the year. Everyone was worried he's going to go back to Freo or Perth and he really made him earn his spot. He said, you're not playing midfield. You might get the chance to play midfield in the future. Right now, we need you as a small forward. And if you want to play in this team, that's what you're going to play. And it took a while, but Zach Fisher bought in. And look at the rewards. His second half of the year was amazing.
Exactly.
I think, I like seeing that sort of stuff. I think the club needs, and again, COVID has made this very hard, the club needs to get around Teague as much as they can, in that at the start of this year we brought on Luke Power and Henry Playfair as the assistant coaches. Yeah. And Playfair was kind of like the right-hand man to Teague. He was the one his direct role and responsibility was like a 2IC to Teague, and everything that Teague needs, he defers to Playfair so that he can do his job properly and focus on his tasks. And due to COVID and everything in the footy department spend, Playfair was knocked off the budget. We haven't replaced that role yet. So I think if we're going to fully equip Teague to do the best job he can, we need to give him every resource possible.
Yeah.
And then for me, that is equipping him with who do you want around you as assistant coaches? And it might be the guys we've got there now. But I would be saying if by 12 months from now, there aren't any other changes to the coaching department, I don't think we're giving Teague every opportunity he can.
No, and in extension to that, I know as a group we've discussed it many times. John Barker, I think it's the next guy.
You think?
He's been there since Moldhouse days.
Ratton days, I think.
Ratton days, even more. God, gee, that shows how much I'm paying attention. But I think it's time he parted with the club. Like, I love him to bits, and he's been really good for the club. And like he took over a couple of games, and I think we won one of those. But if, as you say, if Teague wants him there, then that's fine. But if you want the best people around you, I don't know if he is beneficial anymore. I could be wrong, but that's just.
This is interesting because I hear this so often. What are we basing it off? I don't necessarily see so. Johnny Barker this year, he's been assistant coach since 2011 at Carlton, so he was there for Ratton. So it's going into 10 years at the club. He spent time at the club. So I think this year he's a stoppages coach.
Okay.
But he's been in the past. He's played I don't think that stoppages this year were necessarily our issue. I don't think when he was our defensive coach, I don't think defense was necessarily our issue. I think because he's a victim of being there so long.
That's right. That's probably the angle I'm looking at.
He may be the one that knows the culture we've been trying to build more than anyone. I'm not saying that he's the one who needs to stay, but I look at him and I think I don't necessarily know why he needs to go, but I don't necessarily know if he is the guy that needs to stay at the same time. I don't.
It's a double-edged sword with him. In essence, then I'd say.
Yeah, I think it's as you say. He's a victim of being there for so long, and people associate him maybe with the bad times.
Yeah, that's probably how I saw it. But
and then someone like Luke Power comes in, who's been associated with greatness his entire career.
Yeah, the one that shocked me was probably the fact we let Diesel go.
Hard. Yeah.
And then I guess with this whole virus thing, tough calls had to be made.
Yeah, he was only a part-timer though, Diesel. Again, hard.
Yeah.
Real hard.
You want to take a couple of more before we wrap it up for the night?
Let's take a few more. Look, let's say I want to hear some questions. I want to hear some examples from everyone in our comments for those of you who are still commenting, but I want to hear from you as well. Our show is called the Heatley End. So the Heatley End, for those who may not have, some of the people in our comments may not necessarily be old enough to remember games at Princes Park, let's be honest. It's been 13 years since we played one there in the men's comp. And for those of you who are old enough, may not necessarily, go along to the AFLW games there and stuff. The Heatley End was the end, or the Heatley Stand was the stand in which the cheer squad sat at Princes Park for over 100 years. And it is synonymous with Carlton success. Synonymous with Carlton's success. Carlton could be 6 goals down in a game going into three-quarter time. If you're kicking to the Heatley Stand at the end of in the last quarter, you knew you were a chance to win.
Oh, 100%, especially with that. And I know for those in the cheer squad that know, Matty Morley's been there since Icon Park was built.
Yeah.
But no, that old cheer squad end, my dad has told me many a memory from that end because he was in the cheer squad back in the late 60s, early 70s for those playing at home. So kind of half second generation cheer squad, and he's also back in the cheer squad now. But yes, I don't know.
What are the memories? Do you have? You said you started coming along to games probably about late 99, 2000 or so, or cheer squad 2013. But
we didn't sit. I didn't sit in the Heatley End when we were there. We sat next to the old social club. I think it was.
Do you remember the noise as a kid? Do you remember the noise that would generate?
the roar is something I'll never forget.
Oh yeah.
Being a kid learning the game, and particularly being a female child learning the game, two different complexes. The Heatley End for me, just knowing that was where our cheer squad would sit, and that's where all the flags and the pom-poms and the noise would come from, and seeing the
colour that would come out of that place, yeah.
Oh, and then seeing the opposition sit at the other end, you just knew that if the likes of Kuda got the ball out of the middle in the early 2000s, like running into the forward 50, kicking it to Brad Pearce in 1999 or something like that, you're going to get the roar. And for a whole round, for the capacity that the Princes Park has,
it would shake.
Heard in Burke Street.
It would shake.
It would actually shake. And I would sit, from memory, I sat where the steps are on the other side of the ground, right near I think it's now was the Pratt stand. I think it's the Hero stand now, where all the bucket seats used to be at the front. I used to sit in the front row on the fence, and just the atmosphere. My dad would get me up really early. We'd go to the old social club. We'd meet people, and then I'd just go and sit there and I'd just soak it all in. And being a kid going there, I thought going there was bad, then going to the MCG was worse. Being a kid with the big crowd, but no, just going to that place, I knew I was going somewhere special.
Yeah. Rob's comment, best memories, Carlton and Collingwood, the last suburban battle. To my knowledge, this was just before Telstra Dome, or I keep calling it Telstra Dome, it's Marvel. Just before it came into the competition, we gave Collingwood their most recent spoon. So they gave us one in 2000. Well, they gave us a couple since then, but we played them at Princes Park in 99 was their last spoon, and we beat them by 100 points or so at Princes Park. And it was a day I was only a kid. I was 99. I would have been 10 going on 11. I remember it vividly. My memories of not only Princes Park but the Heatley End all are based in the 90s. I remember Kuda's game versus West Coast, where you could not hear, I think I'm going to get it wrong on cue now, it was something like 19 marks or 18 marks he took. I'm going to get corrected there in the comments, but took the piss. And in after the game, you could not hear Carlton's theme song due to not only the Heatley End starting it in the cheer squad, but the entire crowd chanting Kuda's name.
Oh,
that was the sort of stuff. You couldn't hear the song. You could not. If you go and watch, there's a game now. Get on. I'm going to tangent right now.
Blues Forever on YouTube.
Blues Forever. Get on YouTube. This is a great shout out here. Get on YouTube. I hope that no one from the AFL is watching this, because I'll take it all down. But there is a account or a profile on YouTube called Blues Forever, and they have uploaded full games. If you ever wanted to know where the cheer squad gets games to put on our cheer squad social media and stuff like that, full games in total. That's where I get them from. It is amazing. And so I remember that game vividly. Kuda was just amazing. Just earlier before dinner, we had one of those exact games from that profile on. It was Carlton versus Footscray in 1998, I want to say. They had made a prelim the year before, and they made a prelim that year. We were a week off beating the reigning premiers Adelaide in Adelaide, and we rocked up to Princes Park and we beat them by about 80 or 90 points, but we kicked 30 goals. And Whitnell kicked 8 and had about 15 marks. Ronnie Giulio had 4 goals. And
Ronnie Giulio, there's a name.
Legend. Camporelli kicked 4 or 5, and they just, again, took the mickey. Again, that's probably my first memory I have of sitting in the Heatley stand. Our seats were in what's now known as the Legend stand, which is more newly built, but that's where our seats were as a kid. But my memories of the Heatley End were nothing but noise, colour. As a kid, you'd have a vivid imagination. As you said, you would look at that end, and I'm sure that there's kids now who sit on the wing and watch the cheer squad now, and I hope that's what kids are doing, looking at the cheer squad and seeing colour and noise and vibrancy that they want to be a part of, because that's what we love about it.
Yeah.
And, we're 30.
Yeah.
But I want to see those 10-year-old kids like we were looking to the cheer squad end and seeing that noise and seeing that passion and that what makes Carlton great. Come on, everyone else in the comments, hit us up. What are your Carlton memories? What are your moments that you remember from the Heatley End? What are the moments from Princes Park especially? It can be more recent. The Heatley Sand's not there now, but what are your memories from Princes Park? Another one for me is the AFL. We're mentioning AFLW before. The first AFLW game ever at Princes Park is a moment I'll never forget as long as I live.
No, ever. We were part of history. We were part of.
Yep.
Just like last night, part of history.
Yeah. No. Well, they're the game changers, and tonight you are your own game changer. But for me, that night was something I'll never forget. I fell in love with my club more than I ever have that night. And I got a new, deeper sense of appreciation of what being Carlton means that night. I remember being at the first ever training session. So we had more of a sense of ownership of that team. But at the first ever game, raising the banner, seeing them run out, and I'll never forget as long as I live. Lauren Arnell was our inaugural captain. I think I've told you the story a few times before.
Yeah, she was.
And as she ran out, she turned around to face the team coming out with her. And it wasn't like a little pat on the bum, come on, girls, let's go, let's win this today or anything. She was whacking them. She was that fired up. She was whacking into every girl. And like a bolt of lightning, as she hit them on the back, it was as if a bolt of lightning struck them and they all stood upright. And they could have run through a brick wall, let alone a banner. They were that fired up. And I had tears running down my face watching this. And the second they ran through the banner, I said, "Oh, well, we've got this. We'll smash them here. We'll win." And they did. They killed them. Yeah. But we didn't leave. We didn't leave that ground until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning that night. We were in the shop and we had Elise from the Carlton shop. Shout out to Elise. We had Elise telling us, "Guys, please go home. Like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, I want to get some sleep," because we were that fired up.
Yeah, no. Well, another memory of mine was, I think it was early 2000s. We were playing Adelaide at Princes Park, and there was this massive lightning storm. I don't know if you remember that one.
You remember that? That's got to be 2000 or 2001.
Yeah, no, because I remember that was the moment my dad decided that we are no longer going to be sitting out in the open there, and we will go sit up in the rafters up the back of, I think Rob said it before, it was the Elliott stand. Thank you for correcting me. We ended up sitting up there out of it all, but that was probably the scariest moment. Yeah, against Adelaide. It was the scariest moment as a child. I think I was about 10. And I'm just like,
I reckon you're right. I reckon it was about 2000 or so. That was a hell of a storm too.
Get me out of here. That's probably one of the things that sticks out in my head is probably one of the scarier moments at that place. But
Frankie Liberata, the buzz at Bizzusto, taken mark of the year. I was sitting right behind it at that moment. I'm pretty sure he also got goal of the year either the same game or the same year. Bizzusto, yeah, great memories. Craig Bradley's running goal. Surely someone's got to have seen Craig Bradley's running goal.
Yep. What about the Geelong Darren Milburn incident?
I hope to God that Hamish Clark isn't watching this right now, because if so, we're about to get some nasty comments on. Were you there that day? I was there.
I was there that day. Yep.
Let's talk about it. Memories.
All I can vividly remember is, I think, a lot of swear words.
Swear words was the PG version of what actually happened that day.
And the fact that he didn't move for so long was just it was just gut-wrenching, really, and it was just sickening to watch. Even I think it was a high school, or just after high school, I did a school report on it. And I had to rewatch the footage, and I had to use it, and I'm just like, no, I can't do this.
But still hurts. It is genuinely scary here.
Like, all I remember seeing is someone whacking the bench,
interchange bench.
The interchange bench, and I actually feared for his life. And it was. Yep. He knew what he was doing. He actually set out to do it. And
I tell you what,
the look on his face, that he was proud. It was almost as if he was proud of what he did.
Well, my memory of it was now I'm going to get the correct. There we go. Tony Prowse, dog act. Correct.
100%.
I have hated Geelong ever since. I have hated Gary Milburn ever since.
I can't stand
And I still can't stand Geelong. They've always had players I bloody hate, but Milburn was the one that started. Oh, probably Gary Ablett Senior, but he's the one that started it. My memory of it, again, we were only kids going through, but you mentioned swearing and someone banging on the interchange bench. For me, my memory is Milburn, as he starts walking off, the replay goes on the scoreboard, the whole arena starts erupting with boos again, and as he's coming off, he gets dragged as he's coming off the ground.
Yep, that's all I remember. And I actually
the fans and well, again, we're not going to embellish what happened. He needed police escort off the ground, police with horses. So, for those who remember, there was a police strike. The police union, or whoever, they were on strike in Victoria down Swanston Street, protesting against the Kennett government. The police were on strike that day, so there wasn't enough police and security at the ground in general. They could have had a full-blown riot on their hands when he starts clapping the Carlton fans.
I'm surprised people didn't actually jump the fence and deck him. I'm actually
genuinely lucky it didn't happen, because of all the days, it just so happened that there was there's like 2 cops in the entire venue that day, and the 2 blokes who were there were shitting themselves. You could see they're on their little radios going, "What do we do? What do we do?" They gave him a police escort off the ground and into the car park, because everyone waited around to see them get on the bus or get into his car or whatever it was going on. But he had to get a police escort out of that joint, because they were scared that he was going to get jumped at best. We said before, Silvani's are religious at Carlton.
Oh, yeah. That's
of all the blokes to hit, he picked the wrong one.
He certainly picked the wrong one. So, Nick, best thing about sitting in the Heatley stand was sitting there while it's raining. Best feeling.
In the Heatley stand, well, the Heatley stand when it was raining, you'd be in the pool about this much in your feet. In a waterlog. This is like, we can't have it anymore. I understand. People say, why can't we get games back at Princes Park and stuff like that?
There's just not capacity.
It's not, but the joint, like, it needs a bit of work to be up to AFL standard. I love it.
AFLW, perfect venue.
But it's a community venue. Like, for me, what makes AFLW great is that community footy feel. It's for me, it's punk rock. It's counterculture. It's kind of giving this to everyone who says, no, you're not good enough, sort of thing. I love it. But it's kind of this suburban sort of atmosphere. Oren, Oren, I hope that's how you pronounce your name. Oren with the peanut. Everyone remember the Peanut Man. How good was the Peanut Man? Do you remember the Peanut Man?
Cooter's first game.
Cooter's first game. I remember Cooter's first game. I remember Andrew Walker's first game at Princes Park.
I think a few people have mentioned that. I
nearly took Mark of the Century.
I do remember that. He also then took Mark of the Year on the stepladder known as Jake Carlisle, but it was not paid. But yet the AFL still use it to promote AFL football. Go figure.
And, well, they're using Jack Newnes' goal to market the best moments of the years and stuff as well, and that didn't win goal of the year.
Go figure.
The theme going on here, Shannon, what do you think the theme is? Do you think it's sort of the jumper that these players wear, or is that, we're going to be known as the conspiracy theory show? Because it just seems that all these Carlton players, and here we go, Frank's mentioning the Peanut Man. How good was the Peanut Man? Was, again, an early memory of mine of Princes Park.
I think I missed the Peanut Man. I think he was gone by the time I was there.
You'd hear him every week. Get your peanuts. Oh, it was the best.
Shilling a bag, Dad used to say. Peanuts, shilling a bag.
Well, I'm not that bloody old. I don't remember that.
No.
Frankie Fish
is quite.
Shilling a bag. Far out. It's like something straight out of Mary Poppins or something. Tuppence a bag was that what I was thinking of.
Bag. Anyway.
So, well, let's start wrapping it up. So, I've had a ball. I hope you have.
Oh yeah, this is cool. Doing this every week. This is going to be fun.
Cool. Look, thank you everybody for sticking around and who has watched, and thank you in advance for those who are going to watch this on replay, because I know that there's a handful of people who said to me that they want to see it, but they got work or whatever on. But I've had a ball. Let's make sure everybody who is watching this please, in the comments of this video, please hit us up, or if you're watching this because you found it via the Cheer Squad social media, hit us up there. Give us some topics. Let us know what you want us to talk about next week. We're going to hit up with some. We're going to start hitting up this weekly, hopefully. But we need some topics to talk about. If there's something that you want to be mentioning, if there's something you want to be spoken on the show, we'll do it. We'll hit it up. So give us the topics. Jason Firma's talking about pasties. I would talk for hours about pasties.
Please, we don't need a pasty hour.
We can actually have an episode on the beauty of what is a footy pasty. Bug your pies. You can all keep them. Pies wear black and white and they're gross. Pasties all the way. But a bit of time for a cheap plug. Starting tomorrow, so everyone knows about the Cheer Squad. We have our raffles every week and stuff. We've got another one.
Christmas raffle. Everybody needs to get involved in this one. 4 prizes for one.
Big one. 4 prizes. So we're going to be launching it tomorrow, and it's going to be known as our Christmas raffle. So we've got one more basically for the year, and it's our Christmas raffle. The prizes are going to be, you're getting the hot scoop here on the Heatley End show. The prizes, there's 4 prizes. The winner gets their choice of the 4 prizes, and then second, third, and fourth get the prizes in order. We've got a team signed Guernsey. We've got an Indigenous Guernsey signed by the entire team as well. We've got a Patrick Cripps signed Guernsey, and we've got a Sam Doherty signed Guernsey. So we've got the 2 captains plus 2 team signed Guernseys, 4 prizes in total up for grabs. So you don't only get 1 opportunity to win, you get 4 times the opportunity to win. All the details are going to be on social media, on all the Cheer Squad's platforms. So make sure you hit us up and support the Cheer Squad and all the work we do. Thank you so much for everybody to watching. Shannon, you are a star. You've done a great job tonight.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you. I agree. It's been an interesting hour and 40 minutes now as it ticks over to 8:40 p.m.
You did say, how long are we going to do it? We said, we'll keep it to an hour. Oops, we've done nearly double.
Well, when we start talking football, we could be here for days. I've said it before, and I'll say it countless times again. But yeah, 100%. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. And as always, Nick, it's a pleasure to talk to you about all things Carlton. But please do hit us up in the comments next week or whenever we do this again. Just give us topics to talk about, because I could sit here and talk about Mark Murphy as a topic as well as talking about parties. So we don't want to get into that too much. But please do hit us up. We are keen to talk to you every week.
Yep. And try and get some guests on this show. Fingers crossed, if you're someone who wants to come on our show, we're going to be open. This is going to be totally interactive and open. If you want to be coming on our show as a guest and tell your Carlton story and speak to everybody, speak to us and speak to everyone about what you love about the Carlton Football Club, that's ultimately what binds us all together. So we want to hear about it. We want to hear what you love about Carlton. We want to hear your memories. We want to hear your visions and your hopes and dreams for the future when we're going to get toward Premiership number 17, or in the women's case, Premiership number 1. Neither of them are far away. But thank you, everybody, for listening and watching along. And Shannon, you are a star yet again. Guys, this is the Heatley End. And at the Heatley End, as you kick to the Heatley End, that's where all the momentum comes. So hopefully this is the start of us getting some momentum heading forward into 2021 and beyond. Go the Baggers.
Go the Baggers.
Awesome. Go Blues, everyone. Thanks.